Hey, welcome to Hunting Illinois podcast. I'm Jason from Illinois Learn to Hunt, and today we're going to have a few interviews. So we're going to have Curtis and Lauren interview Jenna, who is a wildlife biologist up in Wisconsin. She's actually the person who runs the women's trapping camp that's up in Wisconsin. Lauren was able to go up there in March and be a part of that and learn all about trapping, and she had a great time. And Jenna's given us some of her time today to learn more about that and how it kind of got started and the goals for it and how it's grown over the years. And then just to get another perspective, so we have the person who runs the program, and then Lauren was able to talk to her roommate from that weekend, who was Alison. So the second interview today is going to be talking to Alison and kind of her experience getting into trapping and the outdoors recently as well. So relax and listen to these great interviews from these wonderful perspectives about trapping and women in the outdoors. On top of that, just some reminders. There's a couple lotteries going on right now. So all the lotteries, by the way, are listed on page 2 of the digest. And right now we have fall turkey firearm lotteries open. So you can go and apply for that. There's only some counties are eligible for that. They're mainly along the border, the western border along the river there. And then also the second deer firearm lottery is going to be starting on the 12th of May 12th. So if you didn't get what you wanted in the first lottery, or if you want to try again, the second lottery is May 12th. If you did apply in the first lottery, your results should be in. To see if you got a tag, go to your purchase history at exploremoreil.com, and you'll be able to see if your tag is active. So hopefully you got the tag you wanted. If not, you got a second chance on the 12th. So go ahead and apply for that. All right, so we're going to go right now to Curtis and Lauren talking to Jenna.
All right, Curtis here from Illinois Learn to Hunt, and I'm here with Lauren, and we are sitting down with Jenna Malinowski from the Women's Trap Camp in Wisconsin. And Lauren was lucky enough to get in on the Women's Trap Camp up in Wisconsin that happened just a couple weeks ago, and she had a blast. And Jenna is one of the OGs, one of the original people that got this whole thing together, and she's still there lifting heavy loads and made this camp really, I mean, people are talking about it nationwide, because people now have written about this in several trapping magazines, and we go to conferences and we hear people talking about it all over the place, because it's kind of amazing. In a lot of places, they don't even know that there's that many trappers left. So in Wisconsin, for you all to be able to create a women's trap camp that is like 100% women run, even the game wardens that you all have are women, everybody involved. It's like to be able to have that supply of trappers there to run that camp, that is awesome. Absolutely awesome. So this was the first year that you all had it at this time of year. Is that correct?
That's correct. We
And
had
so,
our first one, I believe, was in October, and the other 3 prior or after that were in August, in the dead heat of August.
yeah, and what were the dates of this one again?
This was the last weekend in March. It was 26th, 27th, and 28th, maybe?
Yeah, so while still like a lot of the water trapping still going on.
Yes. We did have to use a few other people's trap lines because the area that we have is actually sectioned off similar to Horicon Marsh. And so we were actually still trapping during the season when other trappers could have potentially have been out there.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, before we get into the camp itself, first, Jenna, introduce yourself to our listeners. Who are you? What do you do? I obviously know you because when I worked in Wisconsin, I took your old chair, your old spot, your old position, and so I kind of became you in a way. And so you're still in Wisconsin. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so like you said, I was the statewide assistant coordinator for the Trapper Education Program, and then the assistant fur bear specialist as well. Back in 2016, I came up to northern Wisconsin to become a FTE biologist, a wildlife biologist for the state of Wisconsin. I couldn't leave trapping, of course, behind or the education program. So since then have been heavily involved in our fur schools through AFWA, leading trapper education courses in and outside of high schools, and then of course the women's trap camp as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I Wisconsin, do you know how many licensed trappers approximately are in Wisconsin these days?
I have no idea. That is probably something I should know as a talking point, but no, I don't.
Yeah, I feel like back in the day it used to be, and of course a lot of this is because conservation patrons holders, they automatically get a trapper's license, but I want to say it was like in the 40,000s. And just to give like some perspective, a lot of states like Illinois and just a lot of other states nearby, if you have 3 to 6, 7,000 trappers, that's probably about where you're sitting statewide. So um, obviously Wisconsin's kind of in a class by itself. I mean, all the Great Lakes states really have strong populations of trappers, Pennsylvania as well, but out of all of them, Wisconsin might have the strongest trapper education program, the strongest Wisconsin Trappers Association out of all of that. So, how much does that kind of play into what you're able to do with the women's trap camp? Do you rely on the WTA for any help?
We are definitely fortunate to have not only a very supportive department, but to have that department work so well with our Wisconsin Trappers Association to create that Wisconsin Cooperative Trapper Education Program here in Wisconsin. And if it wasn't for the WTA throughout the years supplying us with so much funding, the educational background in order to be able to become instructors, and then also assist even on the backside of things with getting our camp up and going. But it was through the first schools that were held through the Wisconsin DNR with the assistance through the WTA that we were able to use that original curriculum to kind of mold our course into the camp that it currently is.
Nice. So yeah, really a lot of players coming together here because the Wisconsin DNR obviously a big player as well as the WTA. And you got this curriculum kind of from the fur schools, which obviously I'm familiar with. I've done a few of those as well. Those we would usually do over like 3 days, but your women's trap camp, you're doing like 5 days, right?
We still are on the 3-day schedule. We have talked pretty intensely about trying to make that a little bit longer. What we ended up doing this year for the first time is having our 3-day course that started a lot earlier than it usually did, was very much focused on trap handling and being in the field a little bit more. And then it was followed by 5 days of an advanced workshop where past students and the students that just attended the 3-day class camp could attend this workshop and get their hands more on, you know, bedding and setting traps, following along other mentors, possibly being a mentor themselves, being able to put up more animals and get more experience handling fur. And then also we even did a deeper dive into utilizing the meat of those animals too to really prepare students and kind of build that confidence in them, but for actual trapping and preparation to trap.
Are you guys going to try to do that again next year?
We are. I will
Gotta,
be
I got to save my
busy.
vacation days, so I
Yeah,
need to know.
yeah. I think next year is going to be I better make sure because I already said that the dates for this year, the women's trap camp was actually the 28th, 29th, and 30th. So that was already incorrect. So next year's camp, one second here, May, April, March. Okay. So next year's camp will be held March 20th, 21st, and 22nd, followed by that week-long advanced workshop, trapline workshop, to kind of build the confidence in students and have them get more hands-on experience.
Did you want to talk about the really cool thing that happened at the beginning of this one? That I'm
Sure,
gutted I missed. I was so upset.
sure, absolutely. So this year was really exciting because it was the first time we had the trapline workshop, and the students that came to our camp were not originally intended to be there for the workshop, but because of the really adverse weather that we had and the dangerous roads, we kind of opened it up. We had a lot of people drop out of the workshop because of having to travel long distances, and so we had a little bit more openings, and so we had a mother and her daughter spend the night and stay for the workshop. And the first day on a Monday, she actually caught the 11-year-old caught a wolf in a trap. And we use 554 coil springs, so it's nothing that's huge or mighty, but it was a 72-pound wolf, which is a fairly large male wolf that time of year.
Nice, yeah. So the MB550s, and you didn't have any of your, I'm guessing none of your swivels welded shut or nothing like that.
Yeah, so it wasn't an MB 550, it was the Duke 550, which is why I'm
Oh,
just trying to
okay.
use 550.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, it was a 550, and there was no, we have the normal swivels that we would have for a larger canine like a coyote, but we didn't have any shock springs on it. Nothing was welded shut to ensure that an animal wouldn't be able to break out of it. And he was very pleasant when approaching him. He wasn't in distress, was very calm, cool, and collected, and held as long as we could stick a needle in him and sedate him in order to process.
Nice. And did that wolf get a collar then?
The wolf was processed by USDA Wildlife Services, who is contracted through the Wisconsin DNR for research purposes, and they did put a collar on him. Um, it has been GPS tracked. It's still, last time I checked, it was still within the parameters of Sand Hill Wildlife Area. That next day, it snowed, and so we were able to track animals. And of course, we saw that wolf meet back up with its mate, and so that was great to see. The gait and everything looked normal, so there was no injury to the paw or anything like that. It was a really neat experience.
Good example of trappers as conservationists. I don't know. I
Exactly.
was I was gutted when I saw those pictures. I was like, no, I know I should have stayed an extra day.
You
Yeah,
can't
also,
get better education experience than that, especially when you're talking about how how much trapping benefits research.
Yeah. Oh,
Very
and the
neat.
11-year-old too, and she was from Indiana, so it's the next state over
Yeah,
too, like for at least for me in Illinois. So yeah, it
yeah,
was very cool.
yeah, how many 11-year-olds get to say that, yeah, I trapped a wolf, no big deal.
She had a good story too, because her mom was telling us they caught their cat. Their cat had gone missing for a couple of years, had gotten out and they caught it in a trap, so it's back home now. Like,
right. It was missing for like 2 years, I believe.
yeah, so Fluffy's back home.
Uh-huh. And their experience, I mean, even before that, her mom was kind of talking about having expanding women's trap camp into Indiana. And now they're really gun ho, and we're hoping to do that this next year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And also, just got to point out what a good selling point for how far modern day traps have come to be able to capture a wolf, which, as we know, is a cursorial predator. Okay, this is different than a bobcat. Bobcats as ambush predators, they get caught. They're like, eh, I'm caught. They just sit down. Animals like wolves and coyotes, they do fight that trap the entire time that they're caught. So to be able to trap one in a foothold, especially one set by a new trapper, and then to do a complete workup and to see that wolf go back into its normal day-to-day life so quickly, that's just a testament to how these modern day traps have come a long way and are not what people think about from like if they watch Fox and the Hound and the dude puts the stick in the trap and it just splinters into 1,000 pieces. I remember being a kid and thinking like, how are you gonna catch a fox with that? Like if you just snap his leg in two, he's gonna be gone. Are you just trying to collect feet? I don't know. Anyway, uh,
Right.
awesome story. That's sweet. And that was in that 5 days after the initial 3 days.
Yeah, it was the first day of the trap line training, so the first of 5 days.
We
Ah,
had
so
some
you
successes
missed
too.
that, Lauren.
I
You missed.
know, I know. I got home. I was like, ah, because Allison, my roommate at trap camp, sent me pictures, and I was just like, no. But we had successes during trap camp too. There were some coyotes, some beavers, like what else? Was there an otter during then, or was that later? There was a you
That
guys
was later, but yeah,
yeah.
muskrat. Um,
I know there was like that real dark beaver as well.
yes, we had some big beaver coming out of that property. It was pretty awesome. Probably shouldn't be telling people that.
Yeah, you were. Are we? Do you want to talk about where it was? You were at Sandhill, right?
Yeah, we were at Sandhill Wildlife Area, which is down in Babcock, Wisconsin. Um, can't say I spent a ton of time there prior to this, but it happened actually at, I believe it was a Wildlife Society conference that myself and the supervisor in that area were talking about how we can utilize Sandhill Wildlife Area property more for recruitment, retention, and reactivation practices. Um, and at that point, we just finished up camp in Manitowish Waters at the North Lakeland Discovery Center, and it was a beautiful location, but the water trapping just wasn't what we were looking for, and so we were in the market for a new location. And wow, did Sandhill blow our socks off! It was phenomenal. I believe it's 2,000 some acres of land that's completely enclosed by a fence. It was used for research practices specifically with deer. There's bison that still roam the property. We were not trapping in the bison paths as one wouldn't want to do anyways. But it was just phenomenal as far as beaver, muskrats. I will say the coon population isn't as strong as what you would think in the southern portion of the state, but the coyotes were abundant. We ended up releasing coyotes towards the end of camp, the trap line training, because we just didn't have time or felt the need to process them. Um, and uh, yeah, otters. We got a few otters off the property. It just really had everything from upland to lowland and or wetland, and it was just phenomenal.
We got a
Oh,
truck
yeah.
And it
So
was
it's
stuck.
free.
We
That's
got
the
two
best
trucks
part.
stuck.
We did. I won't say we, but yes, there
Yeah.
was
Well,
people
I was there when the first one got stuck. I was
on
telling my
the
husband
cold
though, and he's
days.
like, "Yeah, but you only got two stuck." He's like, "I bet if it was many, they would have gotten at least three stuck before they went and found another way." He's like, "You guys got that second one stuck and found a completely different way." He's like, "So good
Yeah.
job." Because I was like, "Guess what we did today?"
We were very lucky that it was on a wildlife area, and we had a technician there who ran a bulldozer and was able to utilize that to pull us
It
out.
was very boggy because I was in the car behind, and Jess, the lady who was driving the car, she's like, "My car's not going to make it down there." And then we just saw the truck just like, "Dook," and we're like, "Uh-oh." So yeah, it was an adventure.
Yeah.
all part of the
That's what makes
experience.
memories.
Exactly.
Yep. That's right. If it's 100% smooth, it's like that. Those memories just don't stick. You got to have some up and down, like a good movie. You got to laugh
Right.
and cry and the whole 9 yards, and that makes it a memorable thing. But
Right.
speaking about the whole experience, so other than just trapping, which obviously there's a ton in that, but I also saw you all did some making some stuff with fur and also making stuff with fur bear meat. So, what were some of the highlights of that?
I think that I really think that the meat processing and the fur process or the sewing of the furs are two of the highlights of these camps. It's one thing to learn how to trap, but what do you do with that fur after you trap an animal? I think trapping is probably the easiest part of trapping. Getting an animal to step in a trap is probably easier than the whole fur processing, scouting, and then fur sewing and utilization of meat, um, and everything that goes with trapping, which is why preparation is so important. But yeah, women really took away this year some awesome education experience. We canned venison. No, I'm sorry, we canned beaver. So one of our instructors, Jen, who usually gets stuck in the kitchen the entire time preparing meals for us.
Which she's a great
Um,
cook, by the way. Everything she made was bomb. Her daughter was like, I will leave you here to go get food. She's like, I will leave you out here if you're slow. And I can see why. Like, I was like, all right, Izzy, like, I'm with you. I get you. Like, I'm with you now. Like,
yeah, Izzy gets hangry.
yeah. And she's like, I will leave you here while my mom's cooking. Like, I will leave you behind.
Yeah, it's so true. She actually brought me a pan of venison lasagna one time because I just couldn't get over how phenomenal it was. But our gals, they eat well. That's for sure. We have a game feed where they get a variety of food. I mean, everything from animals harvested locally here in Wisconsin, then also out west. It's pretty impressive.
I
So
mean, it
being
was
able
what?
to kind of teach,
Porcupine, bear, venison,
yeah,
snowshoe hare, beaver. I'm trying to think. There was so much. There were so many. I'm sure I'm forgetting other things.
rabbit, squirrel,
Rabbit, Canada goose
bobcat.
jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was so much. It was all so good. It was so
Yeah, it was it's pretty awesome. It's pretty impressive what the gals come up with and bring. And oh my God, the portions are a little bit too much, but you know,
I will
feed
say, by
five
the time I came
armies.
home, I was like, all right, I need some bread and some more vegetables. Like I was like, all right, like,
Yeah,
but it was good. It was worth it. I was like, you kind of need it. It was cold too when we were there, so it was nice to just have like hearty.
yeah, it was. And that's why we appreciate Jen so much. But I do feel bad that because she's a trapper herself. She likes to get out in the field and, lay some steel. But so that's why the trap line workshop was so great for her. But during that workshop, she did a demo on canning beaver. And I think we put that on our Facebook page and probably had the most likes and shares out of all the things that we did the entire week. And so that's pretty neat. Um, and then we did a fur sewing during camp. And usually what we have is we have stuff prepared for headbands. Um, if you want to make a hat or a pillow, this year was very simple due to time constraints, and we're trying to make it a little bit shorter. But everybody went home with a fur pillow. All of those furs are usually donated. We do pay for some, and Sleepy Creek gives us 50% off for anything we need tanning. But there's districts across the state that will donate fur. Um, there's a lot of fur that actually come from the best management practices, neat cropsy events that we do in the summertime. Um, and then also just us instructors are constantly donating not only our time but everything else we own to this camp, and furs are one of those. So
The 11-year-old was killing it with that too. She figured out a way. She was making pom-poms for hats. She was making like a little muff for her hands. My roommate made a koozie out of,
yeah,
yeah, like people are on it. Because there's something to
yeah,
do after you eat, just killing some time. So
yeah.
I
I
made a
think one
little
of the
coyote pillow.
yeah, I think one of the highlights too was Jeopardy this year. We had Jeopardy for the first time ever, and wow, did that get, I mean, people were riled up about it. I want justice. But basically, Jeopardy follows everything from animal biology to habitat to regulations to trap types and sets and fur handling. It's pretty awesome, and one of our instructors came up with that too.
Yeah, I came away from trap camp being like, man, I really wish we could do cable restraints in Illinois because
Oh, absolutely.
these are amazing. And because Jess was one of the instructors I worked with a lot, and that's like what she does is cable restraints and coyotes. That's like her thing. And I was like, this would be amazing. Like, why can't we have these? Like,
It is kind of mind-boggling that cable restraints are one of the more protected types of trap out there because it's basically a leash and a collar. It's very minimal damage to the fur. The animal doesn't struggle. It's a very humane type of trap set and should be utilized more. Wisconsin finally increased the season on that. We used to just have it till I believe the end of December, right, Curtis?
Or was it the 15th? But yeah, it ended way earlier than people wanted it to. That's for sure.
Right. And now it's full season. but I still don't believe that they can be utilized for nuisance outside of the actual season. So something we're working on.
Well, it's nice to be working on stuff. But that's what makes this camp so awesome. I mean, forget the fact that it's all women for a minute and just look at it as a camp that it's a complete educational pathway into something that's pretty complicated, which is trapping. But this is an immersive 3 day or more, if you go to the advanced camp, immersive event where you're learning not only how to get prepared and actually do the thing. You're going out and trapping, but then you're also skinning, you're processing, you're sewing, you're cooking, you're doing the whole 9 yards. You're doing everything that somebody needs to know how to go out and do this practice on their own. You're also helping people through Jeopardy and through these social events. You're helping them build a social network of other like-minded people that are like already comfortable with them, so they're likely to continue because they're going to be talking to people that they met at this camp and asking, hey, are you running traps? Are you doing this? And that is like an example that people can follow everywhere, not just for trapping, but you name it, any kind of outdoor activity that you want to get people involved in. I think this type of camp is I think there should be a lot more of them in the future because this is the way to get people. And I know it's a ton of work for you and everybody that has to do it, but in
Especially
the
for
whole,
only $100. Like that was best purchase I made last year. Besides my dog, that was the best thing I bought last year. Like, and even like just little things, like being able to be like, okay, like what do I do in this situation? Or being able to like actually get my hands on traps and practice. And like we had one of the big 330s that was messed up. So we're like, it keeps going off on its own and we don't know why. And it's like, okay, this is messed up. So it's like, that's nice to know that this is, like, let's take this one out of circulation or like, like how do we do this? And how does somebody who also has small hands do this. Like it was just, and even being able to try on other people's waders, that was amazing. Just because it's so hard, like the amount of complaints, like I don't know why it's by foot size. It doesn't take into account the size of my ass. Like I feel like I heard that from so many people throughout the weekend. So it was nice to just, just have other people to just, kind of bounce things like that off of. Or seeing with like, when you're fleshing a muskrat, like okay, we overfleshed it, you know what I mean? Or under, like, what are we actually looking for? Because you can look at it in a video, but that doesn't really help as much. You know what I mean? Like to actually be able to see it is much more helpful.
Right. Yeah, that's so funny that you bring up gear because I don't care if it's hunting, fishing, trapping. You get a bunch of women together, we talk about gear because nothing is made to fit us correctly. And so when
Or
we
it's
find
stupid
something that
expensive. Like,
finally fits, yeah, or it's crazy expensive. But
yeah.
yeah, when we find something that finally fits, that's all we want to talk about. And so obviously we all have different body types too, but when you see another gal who has the same body type as you and you see that she has waders on, you're like, what are you wearing? You
Yeah,
know?
it's like you're not complaining about your waders. What do you like about them? Because it's like these
Yeah,
things, I feel like I'm like in a straitjacket. Like you can move. What are you doing over there?
right. Yeah.
does
But yeah,
anybody
Curtis,
make a
getting
female specific wader?
Gator waders were the best ones I tried on. They do, and they have petite and tall. So, pro tip, shouting it out there.
yeah. I still have yet to try on any female waders. Luckily for me, built a little bit more like a man with no hips and tall.
Yeah,
So
I've got curves and I'm short, so but I've got big feet, so no, everything is just very awkward. I get like it'll rub like on my like calves and stuff because it'll bunch and it's just awkward and you can't really tailor waders. So
yeah, no.
yeah, so yeah, gator waders. Throwing that one out there. It's a good one. I tried on my roommates.
Right.
It's my
But yeah,
Christmas
Curtis,
list.
getting back to what you were saying, you were
Yeah.
there from day one. So, I mean, there was a reason why we built this camp, and education was one of it, but really like building that confidence and especially that community with women, I think was like one of our biggest goals. Going to the rendezvous and stuff, we saw women, but I mean, there's very few of them. People thought that I was a reporter coming in trying to get secrets or something because I was a female in a sundress, back in 2012 or whatever. Um,
Oh, when you first started as the trapper ed coordinator?
when I just came as a trapper, It
Oh,
was years later that I became the coordinator, but yeah, when, the women that did come were usually with a significant other, and they really didn't talk much. When we first talked about building this camp, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you, Curtis, because you were the one who brought me and Skye Good and Jody Hammerlaw and Bridget Bazil, like kind of all together to talk. And I mean, trapping is very intense, or it's just it's a scary community, but it's not scary at all once you're in it. You're just very what's the word I'm trying to think of?
It's very
Intimidated.
intimidating.
Yes,
Like
it's a
when you
very
think
intimidating crowd
it's
because
like a lot of like very gruff older dudes and like
yeah,
overalls with like greasy hands. And you're
with a
like, are
ton of
they
knowledge.
and it's like and they're super nice most of the time. Like they are like more than happy to chat, but it's like they
Incredibly.
are you don't necessarily know that until you've talked to a couple of them. Yeah.
Right. And so being a female in the trapping community for a few years and never feeling like I met anybody until I started becoming the trapper education coordinator and actually meeting a lot of the instructors and attending the fur schools and trapper education classes and stuff um, and rendezvous. But like before that, I was highly intimidated by by trapping in the trapping community. And one thing when I took the course, I didn't raise my hand. I didn't ask questions. And I'm very outspoken and a very curious person. But I was so intimidated, I just was very quiet. And I come from a hunting background too. Like I'm a very avid hunter. I'm an outdoors person. So imagining people without that background or even with that background may be intimidated too. So Curtis, like bringing us together and having us talk to each other was for me like, whoa, I get to talk to other women in the trapping community. This is fun. And that was only 3 women at the time. And now we have 100 and 200? No, can't remember how many we graduated, but almost 200 people now, all women that have this community through Facebook, through these workshops, meeting up at rendezvous that we can not only swap experiences and information with, but also just have something in common and feel more comfortable coming to these social events and supporting our trapping community.
oh, for sure. I mean, that's awesome that you all have built that community. And yeah, I deserve no credit here. You all have built this. Like, if anything, I was just able to recognize that Wisconsin did have a bunch of special women trapper, and it was a place where this could be pulled off, because between you and Skye and Bridget and Jody, and I mean, you didn't even mention people like Deb Coltis, and I mean, you can go on and on, Judy Flostad, and I mean, a number of high profile women trappers in Wisconsin. It just, it kind of clicked. We're like, this is might be the only place in the world where this could actually be pulled off. And you all did it, and you hit a home run, and so much so that now you're hopefully expanding to Indiana, and hopefully that's just the start,
I
because
say
this,
hopefully Illinois too.
yeah, hopefully keeps expanding. And like I said, even beyond trapping, this model should be used for everything. I mean, this is, you name it. You want to be a squirrel hunter? Go to a 3-day camp and do everything about squirrel hunting in 3 days and make a bunch of squirrel hunting friends. And guess what? A lot of those people are going to be recruited to squirrel hunting. It works for everything. So I hope that people can learn from this, and not just for women, but I'm sure that at this point you've probably got a lot of guys that are like, "Hey, when's the dudes trap camp? When's that happening?"
I mean, that's what my husband said. He's like, I want to go.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not even that interested. He's like, I want to go for the food. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, we hear that a lot, and I am more than happy to help get that off the ground. There are a few people who have been talking about it. There was a vet camp, and I think they're going to continue to do that in Wisconsin. So veterans, um, but and we've talked about creating one for families. But yeah, I feel like the guys need this just as much as the women. and they're starting to get a little bit jealous. So we should probably, pass it on and help get. If there's one person willing to take it and run with it, I'm more than happy to help them out. I'm just not going to do it again. It's a lot of work. So
Yeah, for sure. You've got your hands full with what you're doing there, and you all are doing awesome work. And I know Skye was a little preoccupied this year for good reasons. Just having a baby is a pretty good reason to not really be much involved in trapping, even though she did make a couple appearances.
She
But
brought the baby too. Baby's already been to trap camp.
it's our
oh
first
well,
baby, female baby of the group.
I was gonna if it's Skye if that's Skye's baby, she's probably already setting number ones. I wouldn't be surprised.
Absolutely. She's already practicing the bear trap.
Yeah, yeah. For those that haven't heard of Skye, I always want to call her Skye Good, but it's Skye Defourneaux now. But anyway, she, as far as I know, the only female to ever successfully set the barefoot bear trap at the FTA rendezvous and the NTA rendezvous. And not only that, but she almost, like, she was very close to having a world record time at one
Wow.
point at the FTA. So she could potentially have the world record for setting that. And before her, no female that I know of had ever even done it. So
No,
that's
I
pretty.
practice and I can't even get close.
Oh,
So
I don't even want to try. Like I'll set the normal traps, but I don't want to set the barefoot bear trap. Like that's just a whole nother level. I did the normal speed. I did it. Nathan Roberts talked me into it one year, and I think me and him took fifth and sixth or something like that. But yeah, it was fun. I don't want to. I don't want to mess with the bear trap. I'll leave that to Skye.
yeah. Yeah, I
I
think I'll
don't
be
want to
done for a
do it with
while.
shoes on. That's
Right.
scary with shoes on. Ah, dadgummit. I'm not getting it right. It scares that donuts coming out every single time.
I just go.
As soon as you touch the trap.
Well, she doesn't like wearing shoes to begin with. So there was actually one camp that when we were in Tree Haven in Tomahawk, she kept getting yelled at for coming into the kitchen without shoes on. I couldn't help but laugh. It's like this girl never wears shoes.
Yeah, yeah. She's a different breed for sure, but between, like I said, her, you, and the other awesome trappers you have there in Wisconsin, this trap camp is in good hands, and you all are gonna keep churning out the trappers until there's more female trappers in Wisconsin than there are male trappers. Just watch.
That's a plan. We're already working our way up with female instructors, so
Yeah, do you feel like you've kind of seen that shift a little bit just in the time you've been there since you were young, like you were talking about way back in 2012 when people were side-eyeing you? Um, do you think you see a lot more women in general at trapping events today than you did back then?
oh, absolutely. Um, we get together at our rendezvous for picture time, but also just to hang out, and we'll have 20 some women there, and that's just the ones that came to the camp. It's not even the females that haven't come to camp, or the children running around. And so I think we're seeing not only more females but more families coming to these rendezvous, and hopefully it'll be our saving grace in the trapping community, um, and kind of bring our numbers back up. In Wisconsin, we're doing pretty okay for trappers. But other states aren't quite seeing that. We've kind of maintained how many trappers we put out a year and how many trapper education students, but that's not very common in the rest of America.
Yeah, I was impressed with the camp. I mean, there was the 11-year-old, but there were a couple of the younger, girls as well who were, like young teens kind of thing. Like it wasn't just, 30-year-old women just running around in the woods. So,
Right. I mean, we even have two junior instructors that participate in our camp, just trying to encourage them to pass on education too.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like I've seen the same thing that I've noticed that too, that like, yeah, a long time ago when I was a kid, that you go to a trapping event and it would be just a bunch of grizzly old guys, looking like Grizzly Adams sitting around drinking coffee. And it is a much more family atmosphere, I feel like today, and even just a lot more solo ladies that are trapping.
Hmm.
Like it's one of those immersive activities that really appeals to certain people. I mean, it always has to me. I know it does to you, Jenna. It does to Lauren as well, because there's just so much involved in it.
Hmm.
You could do it year round, and not only that, but just when you are actually trapping, you're actually out there, you against the animal, and you got to think about all these variables. There's no other outdoor activity to me that matches it. Everything else falls short in terms of like that chess game in your mind. Like maybe bow hunting is the closest thing, but that's a whole lot of boring sitting and waiting. I would so much rather be trapping and moving around and working up a sweat and,
Yeah.
I think that's what I like about it is that you can move around. Like you don't have to. It's like same reason I like running my dog, right? For rabbits and stuff. It's like I don't have to just like sit there. Like I can if I need to, but I'd rather, walk around and look at things and see what's going on and look for different changes and, just kind of observe what's happening.
very active.
Very
How did you
active.
get into trapping, Jenna?
I actually got into trapping through my current husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. We went out to Idaho. I was supposed to go out there for work. He did go out there for work. Um, when the summer ended, I ended up following him out there, and we set a 80-mile marten trap line because he was a resident at the time. Um, and it was all day. We would wake up early in the morning, we'd run the entire trap line, we'd get home late at night and do it all over the next day, and it was phenomenal. Like I just absolutely loved it because it was like chess. It was a totally new habitat that I was pretty unfamiliar with. I will say marten aren't the hardest animals to trap, but for us, um, especially my husband, he's a very secretive trapper. He likes to get far off the roads. He doesn't want anybody to know he's there. And so we were climbing like 45-degree slopes, which is just ridiculous when I think back about it. But we were really putting our time into these marten. Um, and that was at the time when fur was actually worth something. It was pretty great. But then we came back home and he really wanted to have an extra large king size raccoon bedspread. And so that was our next main goal. Mind you, this was a time when fur was actually worth money. Like I wish we would have just done it for the money back then and then
Yeah, waited.
now build the bedspread, but we didn't. So we trapped a ton of raccoon over 2 years, maybe 3 years, to pick out the best ones and make that bedspread. But that's how it started. Was like marten, raccoon, then water sets and upland mostly sets. But then I mean, there wasn't a ton of beaver back then, and that's when I first learned that beaver in southern Wisconsin eat corn and build their lodges out of corn, which was crazy to think. Um, but yeah, it just kind of spiraled after that. I think the rendezvous were a big inspiration to keep trying new things too and new tools, new sets. I just loved everything about it. Because, like I said, I came from a hunting family, but trapping was so different. It was so much more work. It was so much more time in a shed skinning and actually working with the animal, which I really enjoy processing. as well. And yeah, then the utilization of the fur afterwards, nobody keeps a deer hide usually. There's a lot of people who do, but
There's more don't. Let's put it that
yeah,
way.
more don't. But the utilization of a fur bearer compared to any other animal, whether it's, the skull for decoration, the teeth for jewelry, the fur for gloves, hats, mittens, fur trim, it's limitless. I just put beaver fur around my boots. But then also the meat, like I was vegetarian for 7 years prior to trapping, and then slowly decided, well, if I'm going to start eating meat, it has to be clean, it has to be local, and it's going to be harvested with mine or my friend's hands. And so I think that was another big push that led me greatly into beaver trapping, because beaver is absolutely delicious. But yeah.
Yeah, we actually got a bunch of like snack sticks made out of beaver, and we would take them to events and we would pass them out. And more than half the people who tried them were kind of mentioning that it was like the best deer stick they'd ever had in their life. We're like, it's beaver, and they were shocked because like they had never even thought about eating beaver, and here
Right.
they were like, this is like better than the deer sticks I have at home.
Right. For my wedding, our plan was to have a game feed. Well, we lost that battle to my husband and my mom's wife, uh, mothers. So we were like, well, we're still going to have beaver. So we had barbecue pulled beaver there. I was running so late that I forgot to label everything. And so the beaver wasn't labeled, and it was the first thing gone. And everybody loved it. And we had salmon out there. We had, um, uh, pulled pork and other things as well. I mean, there was a smorgasbord of really good food, and the beaver was the first one gone.
Oh, I
That's what
believe
I'm
it.
most looking forward to starting with this coming year because I'm like, especially around where I live right now, it's coyotes and beaver are the two that the farmers want gone. So I'm like, okay, like I can help you with
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, and you
yeah,
didn't
I'd
even
say,
mention the glands, then you've also got the glands that you can collect.
And hunt
yeah,
camp the first year too. You guys said the that beaver skin that was all stretched out, that hide was the first thing gone. Like people like that kind of stuff, something kind of different.
mm-hmm,
Oh yeah, even like I like fur for warmth big time, but for decoration it's awesome too. I know I mean obviously Jenna knows him too, but Mike Widener from Riverine Traders, he hoops up beaver and muskrat and badger, and I mean he'll hoop up any type of fur on a willow hoop, with leather straps in there so it looks really authentic like an old school mountain man. I mean it's something that's uh it's like a piece of art. You might get a Terry Redland print to put above your mantelpiece, or you might get a Mike Widener hooped beaver. They're both awesome, and I would say the hooped beaver is a better centerpiece, and it's going to have more people talking about it, more conversation, and especially if you trapped it yourself and you can talk about that story. I mean, every house needs that, right? I hope Mike Widener gets some business because of this.
yeah, yeah. I actually bought a muskrat for him as a gift to one of the gals who owns some property that we did our muskrat camp, because we also had a beaver camp and a muskrat camp, but a hooped muskrat that I purchased from him for that camp, or for as a thank you gift, and it is such a beautiful specimen. He really does
Yeah,
good work.
yeah, he does good work for sure. So, well, that is awesome. That is all the questions I had down. I don't know if you have any more, Lauren.
No, I mean not right now. I'm hoping we'll be able to see you guys at hunt camp. Have you guys rock up, spread. I mean, I know you guys. I know that your guys' trap camp it sells out so fast. It's not like people don't know about it, but kind of help push it along a little bit. It's a great. I'm very glad. I was very nervous going in because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hang if I'm hardcore enough. But it was definitely a wide variety of like experience levels and abilities. So if you're not really sure about it, I'd recommend giving it a try. Um,
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lauren. It is for everybody.
Yeah, no, it definitely, yeah, it's because I was like, oh God, these are gonna be like all these super crazy hardcore ladies, and I'm not gonna be able to hang. Like I'm gonna be just like, oh God, I'm tired. But no, it was good. It was good. I will definitely be back in Wisconsin. I told our boss, I'm like, I'm lucky I just bought a house in Illinois because I might be moving to Wisconsin.
We'd love to have you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing all that information with us. My last question, Jenna, is there going to be any AFWA carcass carving that you know of this summer? Where's it going to be?
Yes, there is. And I just shared these dates with Women's Trap Camp because not only are students becoming more instructors, but they're also assisting in other camps and this AFWA event, which takes place the week of July 14th. I think all the veterinarians and folks fly in on the 14th, and then the 15th, 16th, and 17th will be the knee crossing of all of our fur bearers for trapping best management practices research.
Nice. And where's that taking place this year?
It's taking place at the Ashland, Wisconsin DNR Service Center, located in Ashland, Wisconsin.
Cool. So is that like a
Nice,
thing people can
nice.
come check out, or is that like what's
Yeah, it's open to anybody who's willing to help. We have a lot of work. We spend 3 days basically skinning fur bearers for our veterinarians. And a lot of the time we have so many animals that we have to put up that we end up just freezing the skin carcasses and end up having to flush them later. So more hands on deck, the better. And it's a great learning experience for new trappers or people who maybe don't have a ton of experience putting up fur,
okay?
because all you do all day is basically
So I was
just
gonna ask, I'm
skin
like, how
and
skilled do you
flex.
have to be? Because
You don't have to be that skilled. If you make a mistake, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, we'll have to try to talk Dan into seeing maybe we can take a work trip up there and help out with that. That would
help
be
out, do
awesome.
some filming.
That'd be great.
And some group like AFWA needs to figure out how to get you ladies on some kind of a revolving schedule, like a touring, like the Rolling Stones, so you can go out to different states each year, somehow supplemented by a group like AFWA, because that would be awesome. Somebody's got to figure that out. Hopefully, Bryant White, he's got that idea planted in his head and he's maybe working on it right now. Who knows?
Yeah, we did actually put in a grant last year to expand Women's Trap Camp nationwide in 4 other regions. And unfortunately, it wasn't that funding wasn't granted, but we were talking about doing it in the Midwest Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies now, um, and trying to expand more locally using that funding. But who knows what's in the future as far as that goes. But Bryant will never give up. He will always be here for us trappers and Women's Trap Camp as well.
For sure, for sure. He's a great guy, and yeah, you all are doing great work. So keep it up, and I hope it just keeps continue to grow, grow, grow. I was gonna say like the coon population, but you said the raccoon population was had crashed up there, but down here it's doing really well. So really healthy population, but hopefully it keeps growing like the coon population of Illinois,
Like the
Missouri.
coyote population everywhere. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah, they're doing very good all over the place.
And you're gonna
Seems
be at the rendezvous, the big one, right? In July. Push that for people.
Um, I will not be at Nationals this year. I will be at Fur Takers.
Fur takers, yep.
Yes,
is
I'll
that
be
in
at the
Iowa?
Wisconsin in
Yep.
Iowa.
In
It's Fur
Iowa.
Takers, correct? Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Are you guys going to be there?
I maybe. It's the other side. It's a very long way from the part of the state I'm in because I'm almost
Oh,
independent.
okay.
So it possibly.
Yeah,
Potentially, yeah, I haven't figured it out yet, but yeah, would love to come.
yeah. We're probably going to have meetups at every single event moving forward. So,
Cool. And we're trying to get more trapping content. And I need to supplement now that I actually have some idea as to what I'm doing. Because I went to Wisconsin's last year, and got, some 110s and 330s. But now that I actually have some idea as to like what I'm doing, I, need to supplement some of my gear moving forward. So
yeah.
Rendezvous is a good place to do that.
Yeah, because
Yeah, it
shipping
is.
on some of that is crazy because it's
Oh
all
yeah.
metal. So
Also, getting used traps,
yeah,
you know, buying a used bow is nothing like these traps just last forever. And if they're well maintained, you can purchase a used trap that's just as good as a new trap. And if it's not, there's so many parts that you can
yeah,
swap
swap
out.
out.
So it is basically a new trap. And so
Well, and I feel
I
like
don't
the
know.
guy I got some from a guy at the Wisconsin one, and he's like, "Oh, the trigger on here sucks. Like, go tell the guy inside I sent you, and he'll give you a new one for it." So it's like, okay, cool. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I love Rendezvous just for getting merchandise alone or
Yeah, not to
traps.
mention the demos too, getting to see all the demos for free. A lot of information there. Yeah, rendezvous are a blast. So we'll definitely have to hype that up more when we get a little closer to that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on and letting me talk more about Women's Trap Camp and all the work that us instructors are doing because it is a lot of work and um, it's nice to feel like what we're doing maybe matters. And so I really appreciate you not only getting the word about Women's Trap Camp because that's how we get sponsors, but also just the interest
yeah, no,
in
it's
trapping
awesome.
and archery.
I feel much more confident moving forward. Like I said, even just having to go spend a couple hours setting traps, it was just like, okay. Or if it doesn't work, it's like, why isn't it working? Like, so that was great.
That's our goal, building confidence in a community.
Yep. And then it's like, okay, if this goes off, it's not going to take off a finger. Like stuff that but it's just helpful to you know, have that
Right.
environment. So,
Definitely people are noticing that you all are making a difference. So keep up that good work and I mean moving the needle as far as R3 goes. So that's what we're all trying to do and in a small way. I think you all have conquered it there. Obviously, a lot of fighting left to go in this battle. Need a lot more trappers and hunters still, but I love the recipe you all have there, and I hope it keeps growing, and I hope the sponsors just pour in. Everybody needs to pour supplies and money into. And so, if anybody listening wants to donate to Women's Trap Camp, how can they do that?
Yeah, if anybody wants to donate to Women's Trap Camp, they can email womenstrapcamp@gmail.com or they can contact me directly. We do have a link also on wistrap.org, which is our Wisconsin Trappers Association webpage. There's a Women's Trap Camp page there as well that they can get a hold of us at. But we always have a list of stuff that we need. So if anybody is interested, we'd greatly appreciate it. We make sure to treat our sponsors as great as they treat us. We talk about them a lot at camp. We make sure to give our thanks with annual posters. We ask that the women go around to rendezvous and thank our our sponsors personally, but also just promoting their business as well. So.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to talk about this stuff. And you all are killing it. I wish Skye could have joined us too, but she's super busy. I'm sure she'll be more a part of next year's camp. And just awesome work. You all have taken it way further than I ever thought I would go. So good work with that.
Thanks, Curtis. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
thanks. All right. And after that great conversation with Jenna, we're now going to talk to a fellow participant at Trap Camp this last year, Alison Gnesda, who was also my roommate. We rocked up about 5 minutes after each other. Like I was about 5 minutes after her. It was great. It worked out awesome. So, Alison, you want to tell us a little bit about how you ended up in Wisconsin? How you ended up at Trap Camp and a little bit about your background?
Hi, I'm Allison. I moved to Wisconsin about 4 years ago from Aurora. So I actually grew up in Aurora, Illinois. Came to Wisconsin because I have family here right after COVID, and I started hunting about 3 years ago. So I'm not from a hunting family, and I got all of my experience from these learn to trap camps and other just for-profit women's hunting groups. The first one that I started with was a for-profit hunting group. And I actually just joined a bunch of Facebook groups. I went online, went on Facebook, started liking all of these different things. And I saw that there was a pheasant hunt in my area. And I reached out to the coordinator and messaged her like, I've never pheasant hunted before. I've never picked up a shotgun before. Can I join in? And she hooked me up with a wing shooting instructor out of Illinois who came out early, brought all her shotguns, and showed me how to shoot a shotgun, showed me what I was doing, and I went out and had my first pheasant hunt. I don't know if I actually got a pheasant because I went up to shoot and then she shot right after me and was like, yeah, of course you got it.
You
Like,
got one. Great job. Yeah.
good for you. And that really after that, it just kind of started to snowball. And I looked around for different community like hunting and archery clubs in my area. I joined the archery club. I joined the pistol club. I've joined shooting clubs. We have a Girl and a Gun, which is a national organization that has chapters everywhere that does a lot of different archery, shooting, rifles, shotguns in my area. So I just kind of joined all of those. And through my archery club, I was asked to be a hunter safety instructor because they were just looking for more women to help with the class, just to like represent. So when younger girls came in, they had someone to talk to and to ask questions to, and they didn't just have to ask all the old guys. So through that, I realized how many different opportunities the DNR has to learn how to hunt.
Yeah.
There's the
Wisconsin
First Hunt
DNR. I feel like
Foundation.
I should add Wisconsin. We're talking about Wisconsin.
Wisconsin DNR. Well, I mean, I did take an Illinois trapping class.
That's true. That's
So,
true. And Illinois does have some good opportunities, but your Wisconsin's structure for their like learn to hunt and learn to trap stuff is through DNR, whereas ours with us learn to hunt, we're completely separate. So you guys are able to do things that we can't quite do, which I kind of wish we could, but we do what we can, and I think there are pros and cons to both models, but you're definitely a good example, I think, of kind of self-advocating, just kind of getting out there and being like, how do I do this? Like, I'm gonna reach out, and you're definitely a big Facebook marketplace for your gear.
yep.
You've definitely inspired me to get more into that as well, which is great. So that's a pro tip out there, guys. You can find lots of
Facebook.
good stuff like waders, expensive stuff.
Oh yeah. Decoys, everything.
Oh yeah,
I
we
caught a
saw a
canoe
lot.
on
There was a
Facebook for
lot
like
in my
50
area.
bucks.
Oh, for like, I don't know, probably 50 decoys, including Canada geese for like $180. And I was like, if I did not just buy a house, I would be buying these decoys. Like, that's amazing.
Next year,
Next year, yeah,
just keep
right?
keep scrolling through.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really like the hardest part of getting started is getting over that hurdle of being afraid to be new. And I took hunter safety online first because
Mhm.
I was afraid to join the class. I thought I kind of like missed the window. Like I thought it was like a youth thing. Like I'm going to be the oldest one there. Everyone's going to be like, why are you here asking questions now? I really felt like I missed the boat. But when I went there to help with the class, I realized I was completely wrong. We
Mhm.
had people from every walk of life. We had dads coming in with their kids because their kids wanted to learn to hunt and their dad never hunted before. So he was taking the them. We had women in their mid 30s, 40s that never hunted before that wanted to be a part of it. So it's really just taking that first step and knowing that everyone had to start somewhere.
Yep. Yep. And don't be
Yep.
afraid to ask questions or look silly or think something's obvious because there's a lot of people who've been doing stuff for a long time that do things that are silly or not, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like it's okay.
It's okay to learn. It's okay to learn. But yeah, after I did the DNR class, I realized all the programs in Wisconsin. And the first one I did was recent. It was in October. I did the Women's Waterfowl Academy. And that was up in the Trampolo Wildlife Refuge. It was same kind of thing. It was like 3 days. They put you up for 3 days. They had one-on-one mentors. The first day we went through the whole class, through the whole like the whole refuge. Got to go into the training room where they trained the DNR
Mhm.
about identifying different birds. They had all of the birds on the wall, and you got to look at each one of them, like the real stuffed taxidermy birds. So you got like a
Like,
real
well, yeah, you
close
could look
look.
at them, yeah.
Yeah,
And see
and
why a
it was
ringneck
just
duck is called a ringneck duck because you can't see that
exactly.
usually.
And yeah, and that's where I met Jenna. And
Oh,
she
nice.
had the trap class. Everyone was talking about it. And I was like, what? There's a trap class? There's a trap camp? Put me on the wait list. So I got in on that wait list and lucked out this year.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I was super excited. So yeah, to I went to that camp with Jenna, met her there, met a whole bunch of other people. Also who was there was Megan. What's her full name? Megan Jensen, who's the conservation warden. She actually came
Hmm.
to trap camp as well and gave a presentation.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of neat. Like it's a growing community, but it's also a really small community. So the more of these events that you go to, you end up seeing the same people all of the time and you make friends.
Yeah, I mean it's the same for us here. We see people and like for us with IDNR wing shooting, like you'll see people there or like a lot of our people who'll come to our stuff. I mean, we've got a couple, including my boss, who is a wing shooting instructor for them. Like, so it's nice. Like it's there definitely is a sense of community out there. You just kind of have to go like look a little bit, kind of go
Yeah.
get started, and then you're able to, be a little bit active in it, which is nice.
Yeah. Once you get started, the second event you go to, you're like, oh, I've already met you before. And then you're comfortable and then you can ask questions and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, you just got to get past that initial like, ugh, I don't know you.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I ended up at trap camp from there and just lucked out because I got to stay. So, trap camp, I don't know how much you already talked about. Trap camp was 3 days long, started on Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday, and half a Sunday.
Yep, and you and I came up the night before because we were both, well, I don't know
Yeah.
why you came up the night before. I was coming from Illinois, so I had a 4 hour
I
drive.
mean, I was still like 3 hours from
Yeah, and
where
I was
I'm right on the
like,
border.
we got to be here at 8 a.m. and that's going to be a long early drive. So, and
Yeah.
then a long day. And
Yep.
then we did, I'm just gonna do a quick overview because we didn't go into that. So then we did, what did we do that first day? We did a basic overview of like safety, the BMPs, different fur bearer identification, talked
We went
about,
over every single trap and every single animal and got to see all the traps.
yep, and then and ask questions. And then we actually set the traps. We went out
Yep.
back
Out
and
in the
set.
yard.
Yep. And then you had that 330 that wouldn't work. They just kept going
Yeah.
off. So that was that was interesting. We got to learn how to actually do it because we all have tiny little hands. So how to actually like
Yeah.
make that work. Um,
I actually, by the end of the week, I snapped a 330 on my hand.
yeah.
So
I, I would hate. At least
it,
it helps take away the fear a little bit, right?
I know. I have all my fingers. They're
Yep.
here.
Well, because they're not designed to like break. They're
Nope.
designed, to hold and, like that's suffocate. So they're not
Yep.
designed to just snap. So it's just, yeah. So it's good to know. But there is definitely that fear and like how to use your feet to actually do it. Um, so that was really helpful how to actually make the little dirt sets and how to cover it back up.
Yep.
We got a bucket of gear to go use, and then they had us go out because the weather was beautiful that day and it was supposed to suck
Yeah.
the
It was
rest.
the nicest day.
Yeah, it was, it
We
was
had
supposed.
5 seasons, not 4 seasons. We had 5 seasons that week.
Yeah, it was
It
bad.
was,
So that was the nicest day by far. So we went and did our water sets because you and I were in the same group also. Um, so we scouted around and we set for beaver and muskrat.
mhm.
And somebody else in our group did for raccoon. And then we came back. What else did we do that night? We did fur sewing,
Yeah, we had a sewing circle. That was fun.
food. The food was good.
I was gonna grab my koozie to show you, to show the group, and I forgot it.
If you have it handy, you
I
can
made
go
a
get it real quick
fur
if you want.
cozy.
It was
Huh?
very cool.
It was
That and the
cool.
pom poms that the 11-year-old was
Yeah.
making. She was on fire with her sewing.
Oh
So
my
yeah, so we
gosh.
did that, and then I think that was the first day. Was that all the first
Yep.
day? And the food was all fantastic. What was your
Yeah, we
favorite?
had all the different game meats. Everybody brought in a crock pot and just had a feast
Yeah,
of beaver and porcupine
snowshoe
and
hair
lots
and
of venison, but porcupine was interesting. That was good.
yeah,
Their
yeah.
beaver turned out better than my beaver. I don't know if you cooked one up. Mine was gamey. I think I need to ask for a recipe, or I looked it up and they said soak it in like buttermilk.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of beaver being gaming. Maybe you just got one that was just like he's having a bad day. He's a little stinky.
Yeah, maybe.
And then day two, we went out and checked our traps.
Yep.
Um, we did not get a coyote, but another group did.
No. We ended up getting it. No, day two, we checked our traps and then we set the land traps, right?
Yes.
On day 2? Because
No, we did that day 1 also. That's right. That's right.
oh
We did.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We set the land traps
Because
too because it was a nice
one
day.
person in our like full group got a coyote.
Yep. Yep.
Not we like kind of split off, but when we
Yep.
met back up with him in the morning, we got one coyote in the
Yep.
group.
But each of our little subgroups had like 2 or 3 instructors, so that was nice. So we could ask questions.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, and the next day we checked traps. Somebody got a coyote, and then what else did we do that day? I'm trying to remember. It was it was so
Oh,
much.
then after we went back and then we all skinned muskrats.
Oh yeah, we did
We skinned the
muskrats.
muskrats, we did the fur handling class, and
Yep,
then
the
the people that
flushing.
actually got an animal were able
Yep.
to process that animal.
Yep, because I got a few beavers as well.
Hmm.
We got to see how to remove the otter jawbone, which was cool.
Hmm.
Because Wisconsin used to, still does, I'm not sure. Um, want a sample for that to turn in, or you could be selected to turn in a sample. I'm sure Curtis will correct me if he when he watches this. Um, so there's that. What else? How to get the glands for the skunk, how to do that.
Yeah, and
Everything,
for the beaver.
yeah,
And it was
everything.
stinky in there.
Everything we owned smelled like skunk.
Oh, my face was like burning.
You were struggling, yeah. And I don't know why you
I had to
smelled
go
it.
wash my face.
Yeah,
I was like, oof.
your stuff smelled a lot more strongly, and I don't understand how because we were right next to each other. But yeah. So we learned how to stretch and dry the muskrats. We learned what it looks like when you over flesh versus under fleshing and
Yep.
how to go about doing that and how to use those little clips on the stretcher, which is like simpler than you'd think, but I don't know, it's not as intuitive as you would think.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like, is there a trick? And it's like, no, it's literally just doot doot and you're good to go. So we did all that, and then Sunday was fast. Yeah, we had food, and then Jeopardy, and then yeah, Sunday went really quick. We pulled our stuff. Somebody in our actual group got a coyote that morning, um, and he looked great. Like he was just super healthy and just active and just was awesome. Um, Cleaned up and pulled the traps and stuff, and I rolled out. I should have stayed because
You
you
should have
guys.
stayed
I should
one
have
more
stayed.
day to see
I
the
know.
wolf.
I know, because you guys got the wolf the next day. Did you want to talk about that a little bit since you were there? You got to
Yeah.
see it.
It was very cool. Like I got to stay at trap camp. So they had the original trap class, and then they had a trap camp that they didn't really tell us about because it's for people that had already graduated with more experience. They wanted people that had their own traps to come to that class,
Are
and
you
it was
going
supposed to
next
be
year?
kind of like, huh?
Are you going next year?
Of course I'm going. Are you going next year?
Yeah.
Yes. I have to get more traps. I only have tiny little ones. I looked at my
Rendezvous.
bin.
We got several rendezvous.
Facebook Marketplace.
That's true. That's true. Especially in Wisconsin. You got better luck than I do with that.
Yep. Good old Facebook Marketplace. Got to find some traps. I'm sure I got an uncle somewhere that has extra traps for me, so
That's true.
I'll ask around.
That's very true.
But yeah, they let us stay. That's what really happened was that storm rolled in. We had this big ice snowstorm that was going through all of northern Wisconsin, and half the people that signed up for the additional trap camp couldn't make it. And a lot of people that were driving home, some people left early just to
Instructors left
avoid,
early too. Yeah, like
yeah,
it was gnarly.
ice all over the road. So Jenna offered anyone that didn't want to drive in it or anyone that just wanted to stay because they had all the extra food and all the extra rooms to stay. And I had already planned to make my way north and hang out with my uncles that week. So my car was packed. I had extra underwear. I had all of my stuff. And I said, I'm staying. Yeah, it was great. So I woke up the next morning and there was snow everywhere.
Hmm.
The whole ground was blanketed in this beautiful, tiny, thin layer of snow, but we were able to see all the tracks, which was super cool because we just learned about all of these different tracks from all these different animals. We even got tested on them in our little trap books, and we went out and got to see them in action. So we could look and see, oh, there's an animal coming out over there. We got to set a trap there. We saw otter tracks that are just like 2 little feet and then the tail
Hmm.
going all the way down the walkway. Like it was quite beautiful. And we all got in the car. We were all excited, going around looking for these traps. And one girl went, wait, stop, go back. I saw some cool tracks over there. So we and looked down, went, oh yeah, there are some tracks, and then looked up, and there was a wolf. We drove right past the wolf. We didn't even know that it wasn't our trap. We drove right past it. So thank God she said that because we turned around and we're just like, oh my God, is that a wolf? and we all had to get real quiet. They taught us we don't want to scare the animal. We don't want to make him more
Stressed, yeah.
frustrated or upset that he already is. So we all just shut up, crept out of the car, kind of snuck up on him. He got up for a little bit. He was a little like, "Who are you guys?" But then he just sat down, had a smile on his face, hung out, let us
Yeah,
take a
Jenna
couple
said he was
pictures.
really pleasant to deal with. He was like, all
Yeah,
right, cool. Hi guys. Like,
yep, he was super calm. He didn't even have, yeah, he I have a picture of him straight up smiling. So we went over there. We got to take some pictures. We were all kind of grateful about because later we all stayed way back later in the day, and we called back to camp, and everyone was just pumped. They ended up calling in a conservation officer and
yeah, the
forgot her
USDA
name.
people.
Yeah, the USDA people, and coming out to collar the wolf. So everybody piled up in all of the vans, and we all paraded out to the spot. We parked around the corner and then once again snuck over to the wolf. The 11-year-old girl that she actually set that trap during trap camp or
Mhm.
trap class. So it was probably the first trap she had ever set in her whole life, and she caught a wolf on it, which is the greatest story. Like, what a memory to have forever. I kept calling her Wolf Trapper for the
Yeah.
rest of the week. I was like, oh, look at the wolf
Oh,
catcher.
I'm sure she loved that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. And we all hung out there, waited for a while, waited for everything to calm down. The conservation officer, they estimate the weight of the wolf by like looking at it. I'm guessing she has experience estimating these things. And then she mixes up the concoction of drugs for it, which is basically exactly what you give your cat or dog when it goes in to get its teeth cleaned. And she went over and gave him to him and let him calm down. And then they put a nice little bandana over his eyes and kind of around his mouth so he was calm and couldn't see what was really going on, and had him laid out. And then we all came up to watch, and they put a collar on him, and they're going to use that collar to track him and see where he goes for the rest of the season. But oh yeah, it was the coolest part about the morning when it was snowing though, was that we got to see his tracks, which were as big as my hand.
Yeah, they're big.
And we also were able to see another set of tracks that were slightly smaller, and it was his girlfriend. So they actually both walked up. He got caught. She scampered off. They said she was probably nearby, but that was the pair of wolves they had been trying to track all summer. Like they had been looking to trap that male because they kind of wanted to see where he was going in the area.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And another reason they really wanted him was because they want to get a wolf on public land, because those collars, they have like a magnet in them that closes it. So it will automatically drop. I think it's in like 6 months. I'm not exactly sure. But at any time, if something's wrong with it, they can just hit a button and it will drop right off. But if it drops on public land, they have to ask permission to go get it and
Oh,
they could
private.
leave
Yeah,
the
yeah. So it's
collar.
much easier if it's
So,
public.
yep. So they were happy that it was public land wolf, and it was one that they had already been watching that we
Yeah.
caught and they were able to collar.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, no wonder you guys almost drove by it if it was set the first day and by somebody who probably wasn't even in the car. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Because yeah, I'm sure she had it. Because I will say, I want to say they did have us. We did a very good job. We marked where our traps were. I just want to clarify, like it was, we
Yeah,
didn't
we had
forget where traps were. It was just a different group.
lists. They gave us
Yes,
notebooks.
yes, it was just a different group driving by that didn't set the trap, that didn't know it was there. I just feel like I
The
should
other
clarify.
group was on their way. We just woke up extra early because we wanted to beat everybody.
Yep,
We wanted to get out there before all the cars came out and ran over the track. So we like
could sneak out and see.
snuck on out, checked all the paw prints.
Yeah, that's
It was
cool.
very cool.
And you got some otters, I know, because you sent me pictures.
Yeah, actually, I partnered up with Janica, and I wanted to learn how to beaver trap because my uncle has nuisance beavers on his property. So I feel like that's probably what I'm going to be mostly trapping. I probably won't set a lot of land sets. So I partnered up with another woman that was an instructor there, Janica, who does a lot of water sets. And we spent the whole week together. We had the greatest time. I think we set more traps than any other group. I had like 30 or 40 traps listed on my phone.
I believe it. Janica's
It
very
was
cool. She was your
it was
inspiration for the
wild.
koozie. She's the skunk
Yeah,
lady.
she makes those koozies.
If you meet Janica, you'll know.
It was yeah, she was my partner in crime. It was amazing. We went around, we set 30 to 40 traps. We got something every single day. The first day I got a beaver, which was my first beaver, which was exactly what I wanted to trap. And it was kind of funny because we actually were rolling by and we all looked and we're like, oh, there's a beaver over there. Because I didn't set the trap exactly right where it didn't end up drowning. It was supposed to be a drowning set, but he ended up just staying on top. It wasn't deep enough. So he was just hanging out there chilling. And we're all just like, oh, look, oh, beaver. We're like, oh, beaver. Jumped out of the car, doors open, everyone's freaking out. But we were able to get him. He was fine. I got my first beaver. And then we looked across the lake and the same thing happened to the other group. They caught a beaver and it was sitting. We're like, is that a log? That's another beaver. It's
I mean, it's a good
it was
learning experience. Like sometimes
it was a good learning
when things go
experience.
wrong, you learn more.
Hmm.
About like what to do and you won't do it next time. And I will
That's
say some
true.
of that water too was very like it was very cold and very
It
very
was
murky and very like you're going along and just things drop. So it was kind of hard to and random bits of concrete. Like it was a when we were setting our sets for Beaver, we kept hitting, like bits of concrete and stuff in that one section. So
set was anchored correctly. It was just that it was a back foot catch.
ah,
So it was supposed to be caught on the front foot and then go down and then not have enough room. But these beavers were so
I
big.
got you.
I
He's
guess
like,
it
I'm
caught on the
good.
back foot and then they still could come up just for enough air
Yeah.
that they were trapped, but the drowning part of it didn't work out. So
Yeah,
they had
you
to be
didn't take into
dispatched
account
manually.
the fact that they were monster beavers. They were
Monster
huge.
beavers.
I'll have
Yeah,
Jason.
one girl got a black one.
I know, I saw. I'll have Jason when he edits put a picture up because I got a picture of the two side by side, the brown and the black. It was pretty cool to see them
Uh,
hanging out.
wow. Yeah, that black one was really neat. I heard that's super rare.
That's pretty cool. It makes sense
Yeah,
though. Like you get it with squirrels and stuff, so why not beavers,
true. Yeah, all those black squirrels up north. And then what? The next day we got an otter. I got two otters. So we set a bunch of 330s in different culverts. And we weren't setting for otter. Um, they have special regulations on the tags for otters. I was able to get two otter tags and I'm able to keep those two otters, which
I
was
say I
actually
think
pretty great.
your guys' limit is two anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, for
two.
us it's I think five. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so I'm glad that you're able to keep
I
yours.
know. I'm gonna make gloves and
That's
maybe a
perfect.
koozie.
So you got lots of did Jenna show you how to do the tail?
Yes. That took forever.
Watching her do the
Skin
demo
the
with the
whole
tail.
tail out.
Yeah.
Ugh. Got it done though. But yeah, the first day was that beaver. The second day, we set a bunch of culvert traps, got an otter. I think we also got a muskrat on that second day. Third day, I got another otter in a different culvert, which was exciting. And then the fourth day, we had 40 traps set. We kind of got a little nervous because we were all supposed to get out there pretty early on Friday.
Hmm.
Middle of the day comes by, we're like, we'll be able to pull those traps. We got all the time in the world. And then the next morning, all of us were just freaking out, like, we don't have all the time in the world. This is going to take us 5 hours, rushing around trying to get them all pulled. And on that day, we got a coyote in my first foothold trap that I ever set. I left it out from trap class,
Oh
and there
wow,
was a
yeah.
coyote in it. So that was pretty exciting too.
That's nice. Yeah. And you
And he
you
just kind of
released that
hung
one, didn't
out.
you?
I released him, yeah. It was just we were rushing around. I didn't feel like dealing with the whole process. Plus, she seemed pretty content. She seemed like she hadn't been there very long. She actually stayed for a minute. We released her and she just kind of sat there and looked at us and watched us pull other traps before eventually getting up and walking away. But it was a really good. I am really glad that we did release her just because I got to use
The board.
the board.
Hmm.
So if you catch something in your trap and you don't have a tag for it, you have to release it. That's one thing they taught us at trap camp. Anything that you catch, you better be prepared to release it, including a wolf or a bear. Like
That's not
pretty
as much of a
intimidating.
concern down here, but yeah, for you guys for sure.
A bear.
A bear.
So yeah, she was like, "Well, you want to release it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's release it. Let's do that." So
Yeah,
I
it's a
went
good
up
learning experience.
with the catch board and it just has a little hole in the bottom. And that was also a back foot catch. So it was kind of hard because at least on the front foot, you can get to it.
Mhm.
The back one, she sat on it. I couldn't get around to it. So we ended up getting both of the collar hold. We had one girl put
Oh,
the
the catch
collar
pole.
on
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
kind of the catch pole and hold her down. And then I came in with the release board and then released the paw. And he just kind of, he or she, I couldn't tell. I keep thinking it's a she, pretty eyes. But kind of sat there, hung out, watched us do our thing,
And just like,
and
what was
eventually
that? What
wandered
was
off.
that whole experience? Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she might have thought that we were saving her, honestly. Like, she doesn't know we set the trap.
Yeah, it's true. She's like, well, especially because those have been out there for so long. They don't smell like us anymore.
Yeah. Actually, I set that trap 2 days before a fox came and pooped on it. Like right in the middle of the trap, just
We
pooped on the
saw
trap.
we saw so much fox poop when we were out there scouting, like so much. I can't believe, well, I guess I can't believe because I guess we didn't really have things set up for foxes specifically, but like I just so I feel like we should have had more fox sets because I feel like we would have gotten foxes all over the place. There was just so much poop.
I set two fox sets and I didn't get one, but one pooped on one and one definitely like shuffled around.
Yeah.
And then we also saw a porcupine. Not we didn't see an actual porcupine, but we saw a lot of porcupine activity. So we set a live trap for a porcupine, hoping, but it was all the way on the other side of the wildlife area. They had all of these. I don't know what kind of trees they were. I probably should have looked at that. They were all chewed up. It was very
Hmm.
interesting to see, only in this one little area.
Hmm.
So we ended up setting a porcupine trap over there.
That's pretty cool.
It was cool. It would have been a cool thing to get.
That would have been interesting. Yeah, we don't have those either. We don't have a lot of like tracking was so cool. Like, look at all the animals you guys have up here. It's awesome. Like we got nothing down here.
Yeah, that area was so cool. It was 9,000 acres. So it was like 14 square miles of just
And it was
playland for
stunning.
all of the girls.
Like it was beautiful. Like that
Yeah,
whole spot.
just all the wetlands, all the marshes, little creeks.
And like we saw so many ducks and swans and like just yeah, it was very cool.
Some of the girls saw bobcats too. No one got a bobcat, but
Yeah,
I
I know
guess on
when
the
they were, and I
first
know when they were
day.
scouting, they said they had one that just kind of sat on the road and was like, "What are you guys
Mhm.
doing here?" And just wandered off.
It was amazing.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I'm very glad I went. It was worth it 100%. It was very. What was your favorite part of the whole thing?
I mean, just getting to learn about all the different types of traps and all of the different animals in that area and then actually getting to see it and catch something. Because I've been, what, I did the Illinois trappers education, but it was just education. It kind of ended with us just learning how to set a trap in the ground. And then it was have fun, good luck, enjoy the great outdoors. But this one, someone caught something. And then it just kept on going after that. People were catching stuff every single day. And you got to see the process from the beginning all the way through till the end. And let's see what else. The other really cool thing I think about going to a DNR sponsored hunt versus just like a paying for a hunt is all the people you get to meet. You get to meet the people that actually put on these events. You get to meet the conservation officer. You get to meet Lauren. You get to meet the DNR people. You get to meet the biologists. And you get to really see like how everyone works together to work on conservation and keep the animals healthy and in check and for us to be able to hunt them.
Yeah, I mean, well, and you and I, like, we've been chatting since, I mean, since then, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, you make great friends. You get to meet people that you know you're gonna know for the rest of your life.
Yeah, like it's very cool. Like the food's amazing, the people are awesome. It's great to be able to troubleshoot. And like with the warden to be able to be like, what do people do wrong? Like
Yeah.
how do I avoid that? Like what, you know what I mean? Like and even just some of the stuff like just being able to bring in some of the random stuff. Like it was cool to be able to see like the illegal wolf snare somebody set up. Because there's very much a difference between snares and cable restraints. Here we
Yep.
can't use we can't use anything on land, but we can't use cable restraints. Um, so it was just kind of interesting to see in like the different states and just all sorts of backgrounds and ages, and it was very cool. So the weather was all over the place though.
The weather was crazy. But I mean, hey, that's another learning experience. You had to learn how to pack. learn what to wear that day.
Yeah, bring
It
literally
was
everything you own.
it went from sunny to snowing to sleeting to sunny to
Rain, the rain
raining.
that somehow apparently wasn't a tornado siren, the tornado siren we learned.
Yeah, we all had to hide into in the bathroom for a while, and then we were let free. It was fine.
Yeah, they're like,
But
no, no, it's
yeah,
not a tornado. They just sound that for storms here. Like, what?
the bonding, the life or death bonding that took place in that bathroom, you know,
Yeah, for the very short amount of time we were in there.
for like 30 seconds. Yeah.
Yep, yep. But no, it was awesome, and just yeah, the hands-on experience is, I think, invaluable.
I'm excited to see everybody next year. I really am. And then to be able to, and most of these learn to hunts are usually just 3 or 4 days. You get to learn to hunt, and then you don't get to do them again because you've already learned. It's for like new people. But the fact that they had this trap camp afterwards that you can go to every year, like I really hope they continue doing it
Hmm.
because then you get to keep this community. You get to keep the community, and also for people that don't do it all of the time, it still gives them that opportunity to get out there and keep learning.
Yeah.
Because I know, especially like with waterfowl hunting, I loved that waterfowl program, but that was my first duck, and I don't have all of the gear yet to go waterfowl hunting, and I'm still kind of intimidated about like where to go and what to do, what I'm supposed to buy, and how to do it by myself. So it would be awesome if they had the same kind of thing for that camp too. Like all the camps should have an annual rendezvous.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, waterfowl, we find with our stuff down here too, waterfowl is like by far the most intimidating for people. Because like with the ID, I mean, I don't know what your guys' regs are, but like you can only
Hmm.
do certain things, count towards your bag limit differently.
So
Like,
many birds, so many
yeah.
of this bird, so many of that bird.
And nothing looks like they do in the pictures because they're not pretty. And then here, almost all the public land things, you need a boat. Um, and it's hard. And then there's just the gear. There's so much gear you need. Like you need so much. I mean, trapping, you need a lot of stuff too, but I just feel like you don't need a boat. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
And doing water things by yourself is pretty sketchy.
yeah,
So there's that too. Like I don't really want to be out swimming in waders all alone trying
yeah.
to hunt something. You need a group.
Yeah. And at
So
least if you're doing like water trapping, like you said, like with your uncle and stuff, like he's gonna know where you are. Like it's not, it's
yeah.
it's a little bit different. And like once it's set, unless there's something in there, you don't have to really go back in.
Mhm. And then yeah, even at the trap camp afterwards, we had speakers that came in too. So that was actually pretty nice. We had one full day that ended up being a really rainy day where we had a bunch of different speakers come in. And one gentleman came in and went over trapper safety. And it wasn't just regular trapper safety, it was like his lifelong list of hacks. And he brought in every MacGyvered like creation he made to keep himself safe and was like, I just took a PVC pipe, put a handle on it, and you slide it over here and it'll make sure that this 330 doesn't go off. And just little tips and little tricks. So like even if you don't want to buy that gear, or if you didn't think about it, or if you forgot it, you can almost make it out of something in your garage.
Oh yeah, trappers are definitely, I've noticed, especially the older ones, are definitely like tinker, like MacGyvery, like,
Yep,
oh,
very
I can,
crafty.
yeah, like I can weld that. There's a spring for that. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, and I thought, I mean, I just like the zip tie hack, the industrial strength
Yeah.
zip tie, because like I know the rope, but it's like the rope trick for the 330s and stuff. But it's like, hey, if you're, doing a water set and get your arm trapped, especially where you are, I mean, you can get hypothermia and stuff and die here too, but
Hmm.
where you guys are, especially, like it's, you need to be able to get out of that very quickly. So, and with one hand, so that was really helpful, or like to get your dog out, that kind of thing. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really sad I missed that one too. Like, all right, next year.
I know. I was like a big advocate for him. I'm like, bring him back. Some of the other speakers, people were like voting them up, and they're like, this one was the best. This one was the second best, but he was the best for me. He was my favorite. I hope he comes back next year because I need to go through my phone. I took pictures of a lot of those little,
Those hacks.
uh, those
You
hacks.
should send those on to me. Yeah, those are funny. Like
I
the
will.
just useful. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was telling Jen, I was like, it's the best $100 I spent this year besides in the last year besides my dog. Like it's the best. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely is worth it. It's worth every penny. I mean, it's too cheap. I think that they should even charge a little bit for the camp afterwards, just so you don't have people that people that bail out, like you have to come, you say you're gonna come, you pay your fees, you bring a snack, you bring a dish,
Yeah.
something.
Well, it's definitely,
But
and it's
yeah, it's
definitely, I will
definitely,
say, it is very much like for the trap camp, like you go and you have to stick to the schedule. It's none of the like, you can't just like wander off and do your own thing. Like the second week, I think, or the like during the week, I think you guys are a little more, it's a little more up to you guys, but it is very like, you know,
even though it was up to us, it was it did still seem pretty back to back. I mean,
yeah,
we were up in the morning, crack of dawn, checking traps, back for lunch, people were going back out checking traps, or they were processing their animals from the day before. There was not a moment wasted. Even in the evening when we were all hanging out just around the campfire, it was like in exhaustion, happy exhaustion. But yeah, no moments were wasted.
yeah, yeah. So it is a little bit rigorous. Just keep that in mind if you're interested in it. It is very much you gotta stick to the agenda. Um,
Yep. Get a good night's sleep. That's
yes,
my recommendation.
yes,
Bring
definitely.
some hydrating uh salts or something because
Yeah,
you're doing a lot of walking.
get up early, whatever you need to be able to do that.
Instant coffee, little snack bars,
Yep.
pack for 5 seasons.
Yeah, yeah. I it's the nice thing about at least driving for us, because like there was one lady who like flew in from New York and
Oh wow.
I was like, that's unfortunate because I'm like, I feel like I filled up the back of my husband's Subaru with like waiters and just,
Oh yeah,
snacks.
bring waiters. You need waiters, 100%.
Like if you want to actually like get hands on, because we definitely spend more time, at least for at this spot, we spent much more time doing water sets than we did land sets.
Hmm.
So, which I guess makes sense because it seems like there's different ways to do land sets, but it feels like with water, there's a lot more. I just feel like there's a lot more variation. You know what I mean? Of different things to try out, and
Yeah.
so if
And
you
there's
want,
just so many more regulations with the land sets, especially because you have to be so careful. You don't want to get someone's pet. So I feel like as a new trapper, it's easier to go off and set water sets because you don't have to worry about pets as much. And there's probably, I don't know, they're little bit easier to set too. There's definitely a lot more creativity and quirkiness to the land traps. Like
oh yeah, like do
dirt
you
has to be
lure and
just right.
do you add
A little
wool and
bit of
like
this, a little bit of magic this.
yeah, it's very much like potiony. Like, all right, what are we gonna throw into this
Yes.
this lure? Like, we're gonna add lure in. Are we gonna add? Is there gonna be bait nearby? Are we gonna add a little bit of wool? Are we gonna add what are we gonna
Mhm.
do? So yeah, water sets it's much easier.
Yeah. I mean, it is very cool setting land sets. I really liked it, but definitely start with the water, work your way up, get comfortable. And then also, if you catch something in a land set, you don't know what you're going to catch on the land set. So you have to be comfortable with releasing. So I'm, yeah, happy that we had more than one experience to release animals and
And with
see how
people who
that
know what they're
process went.
doing to show you.
With people that know what they're doing, not alone in the woods by yourself, releasing a coyote or who know, a wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good. And then throughout too, you learn a lot just from different anecdotes from the instructors of things they've had go wrong. Like there are some pretty funny ones too. So it's a good time. I highly recommend it.
Definitely a bonding experience, a super fun bonding experience.
So yeah. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Hmm, not really. I hope I see you next year at trap camp.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
me too. I hope I see you before that, actually.
I think we
We
can
should
make
plan
that work.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, we
plan
should.
something for the summer.
We can do that. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.